The Detroit Pistons have officially became the worst team in NBA history. Not at the end of the season record. I think that probably belongs to the Charlotte Bobcats. But they are officially on a 27-game losing streak, which is the longest active streak in a single season. The longest streak of all time is, I think, 28 games by the Sixers, but that spanned over two seasons, the end of the 2014-2015 season into the 15-16 season. But yeah, in terms of singular season, the Pistons have definitely broke that. And I'll be lying if I told you I watched a lot of Pistons games to tell you everything that's wrong with what they've been doing, but I've watched a handful of the times of when they've went against the Cavs, and I've watched their last two games just because of the hype up to, and hear them almost having like a losing record. Well, not having a losing record, but having the longest streak. I at the beginning of the season, I thought since Boban was not playing that, he was like, he averages like 18, 19, 20 points a game. So not having him on the court, it would be safe to say, oh, maybe that's why they're losing. Maybe once they get him back, they'll start, winning more games, whatever. It still has not been the case. They obviously still need something else. Cade Cunningham has played pretty well, and Boban has played all right. And I don't know, it just feels like I understand they're a very young team, but they've been rebuilding for a couple of years, and you would think that after, a couple of years of rebuilding, getting Cade Cunningham for the first overall pick in, I forget if he's 21, 22. I forget which one it was. I think it was 21 because, it was 2021 because that was the same year Mobley came in the league. And so for him being first overall pick, and then getting all these other overall picks, having Thompson, I think, third overall, something like that. You would think that they would at least show some form of progression. And all I can say is that has not been the case. And even Cade Cunningham has now been starting to show his frustration. In a post game, he was saying 26 games or 25 games after the loss to the Jazz. He was like, that's horrible. That's not who we are, whatever. And I understand his frustration because, he wants to be on a winning team. Having 2 wins out of almost 30 games is not very good at all. And so I understand his frustration. And it just seems like whenever him or Boban is not on the court, it feels like there isn't much creation at all. And I've watched Jade and Ivy try to create, and it feels like sometimes, like at least with the past 2 games I've watched, that he a lot of times they have very messy playmaking, their passes just don't go where it's supposed to be. And they also don't seem to have any form of an interior presence on the defensive end. Isaiah Stewart, Marvin Bagley, or James Wiseman. James Wiseman, for being I think top 5 overall pick in 2019, something like that. He's not been playing great at all. You would think that after him, getting led up by the Warriors and him playing in Detroit would give him more minutes and, make him more comfortable. But yeah, he hasn't really showed out to be, one of the top prospects as he was supposed to be, being at 7 foot, whatever. And yeah, their bigs just have not had much of a defensive presence. They have a 28th worst offense in the league as well. So matching bad defense with second to third to the worst offense is not a good recipe for success whatsoever. And I think that, I don't know what they could do in terms of trading and stuff, but they need someone who can come off the bench and do something for them. Because if it's not Cade Cunningham or Boban on the floor, I feel like it's the worst basketball you've ever watched, because Thompson is still trying to figure himself out. He's been pretty well defensively, but just 3-point has not come around at all. Isaiah Stewart's been starting to shoot more threes, so I like seeing that. But yeah, it seems like at least the last 2 games against the Jazz and the Nets, they seem to be in the game throughout most of it, but then they just let it up in the fourth quarter, and things just get very stagnant. and it's just hard to watch basketball because like there'll be times when I would see Jada Ivey trying to penetrate, and then he would like slip and fall, and then he would just chuck the ball away, and then it would just be a turnover, and then just like missed the layups, and I feel like especially against the Nets, it seemed like it was just a layup line, like the Nets just were getting anything they wanted in the paint, alley oops and all that kind of stuff, and I've seen the Pistons try to do that too, but in terms of like throwing alley oops and stuff, but they just don't have big like athletic enough bigs, and yeah, it's been really hard to watch. There was a game they had a game against the Spurs, and both of the teams were on a horrible losing streak, and it was kind of like the battle of the worst teams to see who's really worse. And yeah, sure enough, the Pistons ended up losing that one too. I think that was the last time the Spurs even got a win. I think the Spurs have like 3 wins or something like that. I'm not sure. I understand how it is, with how they have 27 game losing streak, and it sounds really, really bad, and they only have 2 wins, which is horrible. But I feel like the Spurs are not too far off from there either. But yeah, the last time they got a win was before Halloween, which is not a good look whatsoever. And I don't know what's gonna take. I would have thought that's after Monte Williams being led up by the Suns, after coaching like a 60-win team about a couple seasons ago, and then after that they did not perform well at all. But then they got led up by him in the playoffs, and then going into this new team, I would have thought maybe he could at least rack up a couple of wins with a young new team. It seemed exciting going into it, but yeah, things have not worked out with Monty Williams at all. And yeah, again, I'll be lying if I told you I watched all the Pistons games, but from what I've seen, it has not looked pretty at all. I don't know what they're going to do to figure it out. I don't know if they're going to do a trade or whatever the case may be, but yeah, they need to find more depth, because it seems like the bench unit is also really, really bad. So yeah, I don't know what they want to do, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please remember to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.